Do proxy online medication ordering via SystmOne. I'm just going to share my screen. So here we are in SystmOne, and the first thing you need to do is check that your patient isn't already set up as an online user. Go into patient maintenance, online users. And you should have a list at the top of your online users with no NHS numbers, and these are all your online users. You can sort your NHS numbers, so it might come up like that when you first look at it. If you then change it so that it's a numerical order, so that all your online users are at the top with no NHS number attached to them. So as you can see, I've set some up already on here, and it's really useful to make sure that you have the name of the care home at the beginning. So this just helps later on when you need to add new residents on. It helps differentiate who works for which care home if you have numerous care homes, and it just makes life a little bit easier going forward, adding on a new resident as they come through the care home. So I'm going to set up a new online user. If I set me up, search for me. So as you can see, I've set myself up before as an online user here because there's no NHS number, and this is my actual details there on the spine, which I don't want to pull across because I don't want to pull my details across and be on the spine. I need to be set up as an online user. So I could reinstate myself there. So if you found an online user that already exists that's been set up by another practice, you can pick them there and pull them across. Or you can say not found, and you can create a brand new online user. So here at the beginning here, you can see there's no NHS number, and that's exactly what we want. So on the first name, I will give myself the name of the care home. So let's just randomly pick one. At the beginning, my name, and then the surname, and female. Put your email address in there. And put the address in there. So we'll put house. You'll put the name of the care home in there. Not your own, not the online user's actual address. You would put the name of the care home in there. Okay. Once all that's in, you click OK. And then you'll get a pop-up screen that comes up. So here you need to do vouched for. You can do written information or vouch for. That just depends on the practice that you're working at and what they want to do. I tend to do vouch for and personal because I'll have worked with the home and I know them and I've spoken to them and met them before I'm setting them up for online ordering. You can do written, and at this point you could put a document in with our details for your online user form. It's entirely up to you how you want to operate this as a practice. But I'm going to do vouched for and personal. And here at the moment we can see that the email address is unverified. We need to make sure that's verified just here. And the reason we need to make that verified is because if they get locked out of the account, then they will need to do a password reset, and it will go to that email address to do a password reset. If there's no email address set up, they can't request their own password reset. So it's given me a username. Print out here I always print it to PDF and then I save it as a file on my desktop and then pass the details onto the care home via secure email or password protected email. If this isn't an option, you can print it onto paper and hand it to them personally, or as we're trying to do social distancing and we're not visiting the care homes, you could actually give them this information over the telephone. Again, it depends how you want to work as a practice and what's more practical for you, but I like to send it in a secure email and then delete the document afterwards so that I know that it's gone to the right hands and it's deleted. So when we've done this, you're ready to start adding your residents on. So the account for the online user is set up. At the bottom here it says allow this online user to access a patient's account. You click here and this is where you start adding your residents. So let's just add a couple of residents here. I'll just add 2 so that you can see how to do it. Find that resident, we'll click select because that's the one we want. Just thinking about loading. Okay, so now here it gives you the access that you're allowing your online user to have. So we are only going to give at this moment in time allow medication ordering. Going forward, if you want to get summary care record, then you need to start looking at a local agreement with data sharing agreement to get that in place. I don't allow appointment booking simply because you don't want care homes booking up all your appointments on the system. The doctor would probably come to the care home on a block basis once a week to see the residents, so you probably don't really need to have appointment bookings set up there. Questionnaires, they can tick, but it just depends whether your practice is using that function at the moment. And as I just said, I'd like to give full coded SCR record to the care home, but at the moment we need to make sure that there's a data sharing agreement in place to share that information. But we're quite safe given medication requesting because at the moment the care home are doing that anyway. It's not any new information. They have this information on the patient's MAR chart and in the resident's notes, and they're already requesting medication via paper. We're just simply changing it from doing it on a paper to doing it electronically, which is all we're doing. So we can quite easily allow medication requesting without the need to do a sharing agreement because we're not sharing anything new. You need to put the relationship to the patient there. I always put carer. And the patient consent. So there's a few options here that you can tick. You can tick, I always do verbal because I will have met the patient. You can do written, and at that point you can upload your written consent form that you've got from the patient. You could click one of these with the lax capacity and patient's best interests, but I always tend to do the verbal one because I'll have been into the home and I'll have met the residents. So once you've added that resident, you just scroll down to the bottom, click on allow this online user to access a patient's record and add another user, and you keep going with that until you've added all your residents from the whole care home. So I'll just add one more so you can do it again so you can see. And again, we're going to only have allow medication requesting, the relationship is the carer, and the patient consent is verbal. So you would keep going. If you can see on the left hand side of the screen here, as each resident's added, you can get a list there. So when you've got your list of every single resident added down the side there, you click OK at the top left hand corner. Now here, this is just asking if you want to inform the patient that this new online user is going to be ordering on their behalf. And there's no point in saying inform because the resident's set up in the practice and they probably don't have an email address or a mobile number set up to contact them anyway. So it doesn't matter whether you put inform or don't inform at that point. So this is where the document for me set up as an online user who want to save it, and I will save it on the desktop and I will put the name of the document there, and that we'll come back to in a minute, but that's the PIN and the password that you're going to need to give to your online user to be able to log in to SystmOne to order the medications. Again, like I said, I print it to PDF and save it on my desktop. You could print it as on a piece of paper and hand it to them by hand, or you can save it on your desktop and pass the information on verbally. Just depends on how you want to work and what works best for your practice. So I'll save that. So back to this. No, I click don't inform because actually there's no point in informing them because there's nothing set up to inform them anyway. And then you need to make sure you click save at the top. And then if you go back into on patient maintenance and online users and refresh it, it should come up. There we go. Elm House, Debbie Farley is at the bottom there. So we've now got the new online user. So there's a few options that you can do. So if we retrieve the account, I will show you what you can do with that account, which is really useful as you practice checking it from your end at the surgery end and maintaining it and auditing the online user. So we'll open it up. It's being a bit slow. So it just informs you that you've retrieved an online user. It's just alerting you that you shouldn't be using this to record any clinical data. So you just click OK. We don't want to match a PDS record because it's an online user. And then you click on continue. There. So there's quite a few options that you can do in this online user account. If the online user left and you needed to close the account, you would click on this button here and then close the account that way. If you want to add a new resident, so this is all set up and all the residents have been added, and then suddenly a new resident comes into the home and you have to add them onto the online users access, you go to this bit here, allow access, and you type in the patient's name. And you click select. And then you just go through the same scenario that we've done before, making sure it's only medication requesting, and click carer, and then patient consent verbal, and OK. And you've added your new don't inform again, and then you've added your new resident on. Once you click save at the top, you always need to click save, else it won't update what you've done in the online users record. So that's how you add a new resident on. There's this little button here, an audit trail, which is really useful. It will show you a time frame of, you can search for time frame, and it will give you a list of all the patients that they have accessed and what date and what time and what they did, whether they just looked in the records or whether they accessed a prescription. Obviously not going to be anything in mine because I've not done any activity. We've just set that up from scratch. Go back to online access. And the other thing to show you is at the bottom here, you can scroll down and see exactly who is attached to the access. So you can find out who they're attached to down there by scrolling all the way down. Gives you all the names. If the online user is locked out of the account and they need the new password, you can also reset the password and change the new username here by doing that there. So that's a good one to know, because if they get locked out, they suddenly need to request it from you. It's down to the practice to be able to unlock that account for them in SystmOne. So you would click on there, reset the password, change the username, and print off the same PIN that we've just done before by setting up the online users account. So if we come out of that, click save at the top and you come out. I will just show you what it looks like when they have been using the account to show you what it looks like there. So click continue. So the audit trail for this person, if we go back to say the 1st of January and search, you can see there logged on, prescriptions accessed, and which patient it is that they've accessed. Okay, that's just what it looks like from an audit point of view. This is particularly important because there's two things that you can learn from this. If you log in periodically, and I suggest you do this not every month, but maybe quarterly, just double check your online users. If they haven't been accessing the account for quite a time, they could have left, and in which case you need to contact the home to see if they've left so you can close the account. Or it could be that they're locked out of the account and they don't know who to turn to get a password reset. So not only is it good for an audit trail to look at and see who they've accessed, but it also gives you a good indication of if your online users are active or not, or stuck and locked out of their accounts. So that's a good thing to check every so often. As I showed you before, if we do a new online user account here, and the account is already in use. So, for example, they might have already been set up in another surgery, and then your care home that you're setting up right now might be looked after by 2, 3 or 4 surgeries. At this point, you can link them all together. So when you give your online user the password and login, all of their surgeries will be in that one login and password. And the way we do it is one surgery will set them up first. It'd be really good if you could communicate and link with any other surgeries that you know that you share care homes with, and inform each other when you've set up online users so that you're aware that there is an account that already exists, because this is how we link it through. So for example, Elm House again, 3 practices look after Elm House, so we're going to look to see if there is already an online user set up that we want to create in this surgery, but we know has already been created in another surgery. So if you type it in Elm Bank, because we know that we've set it up that way, because that's how I set up all the care home online users, with the care home at the front, and the surname, it should find it. If it doesn't, then you just keep trying it in a few different ways. It's not always easy to find, which is really the point I was making, that you probably need to link with all your other surgeries that you know that you share care homes with, because then they'll know exactly how you've set it up in the other practice, and you can type it in exactly how it's been set up in the other practice. So that didn't work, so let's just try Elm and the surname and see if that works. You might need to try a few different options to try and find them. There we go. So this is an online user that's already set up in another practice, so they've already got their login and they've already got their password from their other practice. So they're already set up, and you can see it's exactly the same care home and it's exactly the same person, and the date of birth matches exactly, so you can just create that account and pull them across. So if we pull them across, it's just telling you that you're creating an online user that already exists in another practice. It's just letting you know this. Okay, they're already set up in the practice, which is why it's not letting me do that. So this one's already set up in this practice, so that's why it's not letting me do it. So you pull it across, and you would add on all the residents exactly the same way we've done before, so that when that online user logs in with their password and their login from the other surgery that they've been set up with, both surgeries will appear on their login, and I'm going to show you what that looks like now. So we'll come out of this, and then I will log into SystmOne. which is where they log in and order the prescriptions, and we'll put the username in. And this will be on your piece of paper that you've either printed off or saved as a PDF. And the first time they log in, it will ask them to change the password as well. So you know that once you've handed it over to them, it's safe and secure, because they will be prompted to change the password as soon as they log in, so you won't know the password anymore. If you choose it to do it that way, some practices choose to set it up and set the password up for them so that you can keep a log of it, which is useful if they get locked out or they forget their password. They can contact you and ask for a password reminder if they are stuck. And then the password. And I wanted to show you this one because this is one where 3 practices are all set up. And I wanted to show you what it looks like. If I can get in, that is. Yes, there we go. So the first practice would have set them up and attached, and then the second practice would have set them up and attached their residents, and then the third practice would have pulled them across and attached their residents. So now you can see you've got 3 different surgeries and all the residents that attach to that surgery, and they're all in alphabetical order as well. Even the practices are in alphabetical order, so it's really easy to use and user friendly. And they're all there, and as you can see, that makes life so much easier for a care home that's got 3 surgeries that are looking after all of their residents, because everything's there and it's all in one place and they can access it really easily. While we're in here, I will show you what an account looks like. So you click on your resident that you want to order for, you scroll down and go to request medication. And this will then give you a list of everything they have on their repeat, and you can just tick whatever it is that you want to tick, and then you continue. If the item isn't on the list, you can do a custom request, which is down here. Make a custom request, but you can't do both. So you can order the regular medication first and then click continue, and then go back and do a custom request and then request medication. So they both go separately. So you send all your repeats and then do your custom request and do request medication there. At this point you can see which pharmacy it's going to. So there at the bottom it will tell you which pharmacy you're set up to send it to. So you can check that that's correct there. That's who it will go to. And on the next screen I will try and do a custom request and then see if we can show you what the next screen looks like. And then request. Here it will give you a summary of what you've sent. At this point you can print the confirmation or return back to your medication. If you print the medication, again you can save it as a PDF and save it on your laptop or your desktop, and you can use that for checking in your medications when they come in. So check your order in that way, so it will give you a summary of what you've ordered. Cancel that there, return back to medication. Then you can order again if you've forgotten something and then click continue. And then to switch to another resident, you click back, scroll down, and account, view alternative patient and practice, and it takes you back to your list and you can click on the next person. So you don't have to log in and out, you just click back, change to the next patient or practice, and then you can go on to the next person and go through and do all of them at the same time. Other way you can see if there's anything outstanding, so let's go back into this one. There is outstanding prescription requests under medication, so you can click on that and it tells you there aren't any outstanding ones at the moment. So if there were, you could chase that up and see why they haven't gone. You can also see in the request medication the last time it was issued and the last time it was ordered. So here we can see last issued 21st of January, last issued. So when you've placed your order and you want to know if it's gone or not, you can log in the next day and it can say last issued and it'll have the date, and sometimes it will say refused if it's been refused, and it will also say last requested if it's still sat in the surgery as a request and it hasn't been processed. Okay, we'll go back and then view alternate patient and practice. We'll just see if any of the others do have anything different that I can show you. No. This one particular, it needs to be reviewed, so it's not letting you order it, which is quite interesting there to see. That might be because the amount of repeats have gone past, or it might be because a medication review is due for that item. But as you can see, it's saying there, it gives you a note as to why you can't order it. If there is a box not there and it isn't a message to say this item needs to be reviewed, I'll go back in and show you what needs to be done. I thought it would be interesting to show you from this point of view first if there's not a box to tick and what you can do about it. If there's no box to tick, it either means that in this case it's got too many issues and it's gone past the issues and it won't let you do any more, and it could mean that something on the screen in the patient's notes called irregular repeats isn't ticked. The reason we use irregular repeats is because SystmOne has a preventative method that stops you ordering too early, which is fine for the likes of you and I when we're ordering just our own medication, but it actually produces a bit of an issue for care homes because each resident will come into the care home at a different point in the cycle of the care home, and the ordering of each individual patient resident is going by when they came into the care home, and it isn't taking into account the cycle of the care home, their 28-day cycle. So in order to get past this for your care home residents, you need to make sure irregular repeats are ticked. Otherwise, it's going to show that it's too early to order on this screen, and there might sometimes not be a box to tick. So that's what I'm showing you there. And if there's no box to tick, what will happen is the care home will go to the bottom here and make a custom request instead. So if you've got plenty of items there with no boxes to tick, it will all be custom requests, and you don't want loads of custom requests coming in to be able to sort through and plough through, because one, they might get missed, and two, it might be the wrong item that's selected for the patient, and it's just more, it's a bit messy doing it that way. You don't want to be inundated with medication request notes. You want them to be able to tick the item that they want here. So we'll go back, and then it's very important at the top right hand corner here you log out. Especially if you're using handheld devices like iPads that you could pass to somebody else, especially if you've got an office that's being shared by many staff members, they could log in, and this account is specifically for you and it's for your eyes only, and you need to keep your password safe and you don't want anybody else to access it. So make sure you log out at the end and then you can log back in. It will time out, but you never know how that split second that you might leave it, that someone else could log in. So it's good practice to log out once you've finished. So if we go back into SystmOne, if we go into a a resident, I'll show you what you need to do for the irregular repeats. It's very quick and simple, and if you set it all up from scratch when the patient comes into the home, it shouldn't take much maintenance. The only thing you need to check is every so often if a new item's been put on repeat, that the irregular's been ticked. And that's just a little bit of housekeeping that probably needs doing monthly if possible, but I guess it doesn't have to be monthly if you don't have the time to that. But the one thing that I think is a really good idea and good practice is once you've got somebody in your surgery that's set up to know how to do proxy, they can give the care home staff their contact details. And the care home staff, once they go to request their monthly meds, if they see that box missing, they can quickly email the person in charge of proxy at the practice and say, I've got a box missing for Mr. So-and-so, could you just tick the box for me? And that's going to be quicker and less time consuming than sorting out custom requests going forward. So that's good practice and good communication, but it might be worth doing a little bit of housekeeping every so often just to double check. So we go down to repeat medications, and this lady hasn't got any of them ticked. So we highlight the item, right click, amend, and we tick irregular repeats there. And that's all you need to do. And you click OK. And then you can see it's got this little circle next to it. And that, you just keep going down the list and they all just need to be irregular. Now, there are a few things you can do if you don't want your care homes to do this and order at any point in the cycle. Personally, I think it's a really good option to do it this way because when they come through as a task, they come through as purple if they're an irregular repeat. So if you've only got your care homes ordering irregular repeats, when they come through workflow as a prescription, each item will be in a purple writing, which is a really good indication that they're from a care home, and it will make you double check them. If you really don't want them ticked, I suggest you could just do it for the first month that they come into the home, and then they should synchronise after that first month of coming into the home, and then the following month they should just fall into place and you can take them all off. But it is more time consuming taking them all off if you wanted to go that way. The other option you could do is you could change the duration. I'll just show you this. I don't particularly like this one because it looks like you're over prescribing. So for example, you could have 28 capsules there and just do issue duration 7 days, and then they would be able to order every 7 days. I don't particularly like that way because it will make your prescribing look really bad. So again, that's entirely how you want to do it at your practice. I prefer the irregulars ticked because then it allows them to order, and then at the same time when it comes through as a prescription in the workflow, it's really obvious that it's from a care home because it comes through in a purple writing, in each item's written in purple. So that you just go down the list and you just keep doing that until they're all done, and you do that on every resident, and then you just have to make sure that any new item that comes through has also got that ticked, and then you click save. Okay. The other thing I'm going to try and show you is if an account gets locked out. So we will try that this way. So I'll stop sharing and I will go back into System Online, and I will find the details of the account that I set up for me and we'll log in that way. Bear with me, I'm just going to details in. The other good thing about doing it on PDF is that you can copy and paste it so that you know that it's being copied and pasted it correctly, and you know you're putting the details in correctly. So logging in there, so the very first time it will ask you to put a new password in. Okay, and click back. And there's the 3 we set up earlier. So if I log out and purposely log in wrong, so we can see where it goes. Okay, saying it's wrong. I would suggest telling your online users at the care homes, if they do it wrong 3 times, to just stop and not go any further, because once it's done it 5 times, the account is suspended. So again, it's wrong, and it tells you this here as well. If you enter this information incorrectly 5 times in a row, your account will be locked. So I say, if you've done it twice and it's not right, you can do this "I've forgotten my password" here, and as long as you've set up your verified password has been set up correctly in SystmOne and you've verified it, the password will go to that email address and they can reset their own password there. But we're going to, for the purpose of this experiment, we are going to do it wrong 5 times until it tells us that it's locked out. It might be just one more time. I think I've done that 5 times, so let's just see if it's now gone into, we'll do it one more just for luck, and then we'll go and check, and hopefully it's gone where I want it to go so that I can show you. It should say the account is suspended, but it hasn't actually said that yet, so let's just try one more time. Okay, I've definitely done it 5 times, so let's have a look. If you go back into SystmOne, and if we go into workflow and task list, it should give you all the tasks down the side. All open tasks, and I'm hoping that it has gone down there so I can show you. Here we go. System online access suspended, and it shows that it's me, Elmhouse Debbie Faries, and it says here there have been 5 failed SystmOne attempts for this account. Their online services account has been suspended. So you can reinstate it here. You can action it. It says the online user has been informed. Would you like to inform them again? Yes. And that will go to the email address that has been set up. And then retrieve it. It will tell you that it shouldn't be used for clinical data. It's an online user. Click OK. No, we don't want a PDS record because it's an online user. Click continue. And unfortunately, what happens is patients will come off because it's suspended, but you can restate them there. If you see here, it will say the online user did have access to the accounts and services below, and you can reinstate them at this point. And click save here. And then you have to start again from scratch, but it stops the account from actually getting completely deleted at this point, and you only have 24 hours for that link, and then it just vanishes completely. So that's the way you have to kind of retrieve it at that point, and then make sure it's reinstated. Okay, save that one and come out. Okay. And I think that's everything that I need to show you on that. In the workflow, when the tasks come in as prescriptions, I'm going to just see if there's any care home ones that have come through. Probably not on Friday. I must also mention at this point, because you've got all of these different folders here in the tasks, you can make a folder for care homes. So when those prescriptions come through and they are purple and you can see that they are a care home patient, the prescription clerk or person who's going through workflow looking at the scripts can just move them into a folder down here for care homes, and that can be then checked by someone responsible in the practice for care homes that wants to check them before they're processed. That can happen. A few of my practices have done that, and I don't think I've got any that I can really show you here that are care homes. But when they come through and you open up, it won't be purple here. You click onto the request and you action it, and then it will show you all the items that they've ordered, and each individual drug item will be written in purple, and that's how they will know that it's a care home patient. And that's pretty much everything on SystmOne and how you order, and also what it looks like on System Online. And I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope it's been helpful.